Welcome to Audio Summary, where we bring the world's greatest books to life in quick and captivating audiobook summaries. Join us to discover the wisdom, ideas, and stories that have shaped history in bite-sized insights. All for free. Let's start.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Chapter 1. General Introduction. In his quest to become a partner of Edison, Edwin C. Barnes discovered that thoughts are powerful when combined with a definite purpose, perseverance, and a strong desire for wealth. Despite obstacles like lack of money and an unfavorable appearance, Barnes managed to work in Edison's office and kept his goal in mind until it became an obsessive determination. His resolve ultimately led him to achieve what he sought, illustrating the importance of adopting a defined purpose and sticking to it long term. Opportunity sometimes comes disguised as unexpected forms of misfortune or temporary frustrations. Barnes saw his opportunity in Edison's dictating machine, which others did not appreciate. By aiming to sell it, he secured a contract to distribute and sell it nationwide, becoming wealthy and demonstrating that thought can indeed translate into wealth. Often, failure occurs when one gives up in the face of temporary frustration. An example of this was a man who, despite finding a vein of ore, abandoned his search when the vein disappeared, only to discover it was just a meter away from where he stopped drilling. The junkman who purchased the machinery found the vein with the advice of an expert and became a millionaire. After losing a fortune in the mining industry, R.V. Darby found success in insurance sales due to his determination to not give up and never stop because of being told no. Most men give up at temporary frustrations, but the most prosperous men say their success emerged right after the point where frustration had seized them. Darby, upon witnessing a girl getting 50 cents from her initially reluctant uncle by persistently asking, learned that success often lies just beyond failure and that perseverance can be key to achieving goals. Mr. Darby learned a lesson in perseverance by observing how a determined girl of color persuaded her uncle. This experience helped him succeed in life insurance sales and not give up in the face of rejection. The author suggests that everyone can learn from failure and turn it into an opportunity for success. The book presents 13 principles for thinking and growing rich, but the key to success is a good idea. Wealth begins from a mental state with a defined purpose, and the rules that have made others wealthy can assist anyone willing to follow them. It's important to shift focus from failure to success and overcome the tendency to measure everything by personal impressions and beliefs. Henry Ford wanted to build a V8 engine with 8 cylinders in a single block, but his engineers told him it was impossible. Even after a year without a solution, Ford instructed them to keep working until they achieved it, which they eventually did through his determination and application of success principles. The brain magnetizes with the dominant thoughts we carry, attracting forces and circumstances in life that align with the nature of our dominant thoughts. The principles described in this book hold the secret to mastery over our economic destiny. The book presents principles that have worked for many men and can alter the economic fate of those who implement them. One of these principles is the importance of maintaining an open-minded attitude and controlling thoughts to attract wealth. Chapter 2. Desire. The first step towards wealth is to possess a burning and well-defined desire. One example is that of Edwin C. Barnes, who aspired to become a business partner of Thomas Edison and spared no effort to achieve it. The obsessive determination required to accomplish goals is pivotal for success. To transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, 6 defined steps are necessary: determining the exact amount of money desired, specifying what one is willing to give in exchange for that money, setting a deadline to acquire it, creating a precise plan and initiating action, crafting a clear and concise statement and reciting it aloud twice daily while visualizing the possession of the money. The true leaders of the world have always been individuals who knew how to harness the invisible and intangible forces of emerging opportunity. Dreams awaken people's talent and creativity and are not born from indifference, laziness, or lack of ambition. All who have succeeded have had a rough start and faced difficulties before triumphing. Imagination and perseverance are necessary to achieve dreams. Napoleon describes the story of a boy born without ears, predicted to be deaf and mute for life. His father opposed the doctor's opinion and determined that his son would hear and speak. Though he did not discuss it with anyone, he committed himself to instilling in his son the burning desire to find a way to convey sound to his brain without the aid of ears. When the child was old enough to cooperate, his father filled his mind with this burning desire, leading the boy to show faint signs of hearing and discover that he could hear when spoken to with lips close to his mastoid bone at the base of the skull. The boy attended school, high school, and college without being able to hear his teachers except when they shouted loudly and at close range. Finally, in his last week at college, he obtained a hearing device that allowed him to hear normally. Overwhelmed with the joy of discovering this world of sounds, he wrote a letter to the manufacturer of the hearing device, detailing his experience, which led to him being hired to share his discovery with the millions of deaf individuals living without the benefit of hearing aids. The story underscores the importance of burning desire and self-confidence. The boy's father believed his son would hear and speak, and his burning desire led to a series of circumstances that eventually made it possible. Moreover, the story illustrates how desire can be transmuted into its physical equivalent and how confidence, coupled with a burning desire, can make anything achievable. Chapter 3. Faith. Faith is a fundamental chemical element of the mind that can be induced through self-suggestion. When faith is mixed with thought, it translates into its spiritual equivalent and is transmitted to the universal intelligence. Emotions of faith, love, and sex stand as the most powerful among the primary positive emotions. When these three are combined, they have the effect of coloring thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious, transforming into its spiritual equivalent, a singular form that triggers a response from infinite intelligence. Repetition of affirmative orders to the subconscious is the only known method of voluntary growth of the emotion of faith. Self-suggestion is a method to plant the original seed of an idea in the mind, allowing for the grafting of a plan or purpose through repeated thought. The human mind is constantly attracting vibrations that harmonize with the dominant one. Any idea, plan, thought, or purpose one harbors attracts myriad kindred ideas, attaches these ideas to its own force, and grows to become the master purpose that dominates and motivates the individual in whose mind it resides. Faith is the eternal elixir that gives life, power, and action to the impulsion of thought. It is the foundation of all miracles and mysteries that cannot be analyzed by scientific parameters. Faith is the sole known antidote against failure. It is the chemical element that, combined with prayer, provides us with direct communication with infinite intelligence. Faith is the element that transforms the ordinary vibration of thought, created by finite human minds, into its spiritual equivalent. Eliminating despair, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism, while cultivating love for all humanity, is essential to stimulate positive emotions as dominant forces of the mind and diminish the significance of and eliminate negative emotions. With the principle of self-suggestion's help, self-doubt can be overcome and timidity transformed into courage. Implementing this principle can be achieved by simply enunciating written thought impulses, memorizing them, and repeating them until they become part of the instrument with which the unconscious faculty of the mind operates. The subconscious does not differentiate between positive or negative thoughts and will manifest reality based on what it is supplied. The law of self-suggestion can lead to peace and prosperity or failure and demise, depending on the understanding and application of it. Faith and love are powerful emotions that can awaken dormant genius in our minds and propel us to achieve any desired goal. Abraham Lincoln and Mahatma Gandhi are examples of individuals who achieved great feats through their faith and ability to influence others. Faith forms the basis of Christianity and has been the driving force behind many significant achievements in human history. Another inspiring story tells of the creation of the United States Steel Corporation, one of the world's largest steel companies in the early 20th century. J. Edward Simmons and Charles Stewart Smith organized a dinner to introduce Charles M. Schwab, a steel magnate, to the Eastern United States Banking Society. Schwab delivered a 90-minute speech discussing the global future of steel, reorganization for efficiency enhancement, focusing efforts on flourishing properties, savings in raw or transportation, reductions in managerial and administrative departments, and capturing foreign markets. Schwab's speech suggested the creation of a steel trust without Andrew Carnegie, the steel giant of the era, and laid the groundwork for the United States Steel Corporation. Morgan, Bacon, Gates, and Schwab spent the entire night debating and agreeing upon a detailed plan for the company's creation, and Schwab eventually convinced Carnegie to sell. The United States Steel Corporation became one of the world's largest steel companies and brought substantial wealth to its investors. Wealth begins with an idea and is limited only by the individual who sets it in motion and removes limitations with their faith. Chapter 4. Autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the suggestion of oneself and refers to self-administered stimuli that reach the mind through the five senses. Autosuggestion serves as the communication agent between the conscious mind and the subconscious. Through dominant thoughts aloud in the conscious mind, the principle of autosuggestion reaches the subconscious and influences those thoughts. Autosuggestion is crucial for controlling thoughts and nurturing the subconscious with constructive thoughts. To employ the principle of autosuggestion, it's necessary to have absolute control over the material reaching the subconscious through the five senses. Repeating written affirmations and visualizing desires can feed the subconscious with thoughts of a constructive nature and create favorable thinking habits. It's important for thoughts to be charged with emotion and feeling for the subconscious to recognize and act upon them. There needs to be a burning obsession with the desire and a focus on it until it becomes a reality. The subconscious takes any order in a state of absolute faith and acts upon those orders. The plan to accumulate wealth through desire transmutation must be created by the imagination and executed immediately upon receiving inspiration. To apply autosuggestion, 6 steps must be followed, including reading aloud the written statement of desire, visualizing money, placing a copy in a visible place, repeating the program until seeing the money in imagination, creating a precise plan, and taking action. Autosuggestion is crucial for achieving success and becoming the master of oneself and one's environment. Repeating this process leads to a complete understanding and mastery of the principles of success. Chapter 5. Specialized Knowledge. There are 2 types of knowledge, general and specialized. General knowledge, however vast and varied it may be, isn't particularly useful for accumulating wealth. Specialized knowledge, organized and intelligently directed, is essential for wealth accumulation. Successful individuals never cease acquiring specialized knowledge related to their primary goals, business, or profession. An educated person isn't necessarily someone with an abundance of general or specialized knowledge, but rather someone who has cultivated their mental faculties to acquire whatever they set their mind to. The author mentions Henry Ford, who had limited formal education but excelled economically due to his ability to organize and lead a team. Night schools and correspondence courses serve as practical and reliable sources of specialized knowledge. Napoleon Hill also emphasizes the importance of self-discipline gained from a specialized study program, compensating to some extent for the missed opportunity when knowledge was readily available for free. Additionally, the payment system of correspondence schools can be beneficial for students as it compels them to progress through the course, instilling the habit of finishing what one starts. Acquiring specialized knowledge after school is of utmost importance, especially for those who lack the free time to return to school. Specialized knowledge coupled with imagination can be the key ingredient for a successful business. Napoleon stresses the importance of not starting from the bottom, as this can kill ambition and limit career prospects. Instead, he recommends starting 2 or 3 steps above the bottom to cultivate the habit of being observant and seeking opportunities. He presents the example of Dan Halpin, who ascended through dissatisfaction and perseverance in his work, proving that the conditions we control can be the key to professional success. Association with valuable partners can be crucial for success. Furthermore, specialized knowledge can be a source of wealth, and individuals with imagination can find opportunities to help others sell their services for more money. The concept is fundamental, and specialized knowledge can be easily acquired. Chapter 6. Imagination. Imagination is a powerful tool that can assist in creating and executing plans. Through our imaginative minds, we can give shape and action to our desires and impulses. Human beings are capable of creating anything they can imagine, and thanks to imagination, they have discovered and mastered more forces of nature in the last 50 years than in all of previous history. Imagination can work in two ways, synthetic and creative. The first is based on combining pre-existing concepts to form new combinations, while the latter connects us with infinite intelligence, allowing us to receive intuitions and inspirations. To practically use imagination, it's necessary to exercise and develop it through consistent use. Focusing on synthetic imagination is crucial for turning desires into money, yet cultivating creative imagination is also necessary for situations demanding its use. Ideas serve as the starting point for all fortunes, and imagination is essential to turn them into reality. A clear example is the story of the old enchanted teapot, which became a global phenomenon due to its creator's imagination. This idea not only benefited the sugar industry, but also provided employment to numerous individuals in various fields. Napoleon shares the story of Dr. Frank Gonzalez, a preacher who aimed to establish a school to rectify the flaws of the education system. He needed $1 million to kickstart his project, but didn't know how to attain it. After contemplating for a long time, he decided he would acquire it within a week and announced a sermon titled, "What I Would Do If I Had $1 Million." In the sermon, he outlined his plan to create a significant educational institution. A man named Philip D. Armour approached him after the sermon and offered the money for his project. Both Asa Candler and Dr. Gonzalez understood the truth that ideas can be transformed into cash through a defined purpose and concrete plans. Let's not forget the importance of having a burning and persistent desire to achieve a goal and the necessity of working in harmony with others for success. Ideas are intangible forces that can possess more power than the physical brain in which they originate, and these ideas can continue to live even after the brain has returned to dust. Chapter 7. Organized Planning. Desire serves as the genesis of any creation or acquisition by humans, from the abstract to the concrete. To transmute the desire for wealth into its physical equivalent, a well-defined and practical plan is necessary, emphasizing the importance of teamwork. Establishing perfect harmony among team members and offering suitable compensation for their cooperation is vital. If a plan fails, it should be altered and persistently pursued until a successful one is found. Temporary setbacks must be embraced as indicators that the plans need refinement or replacement. Smart planning is indispensable for success in wealth accumulation ventures, especially for those commencing by offering personal services. Choosing between being a leader or a follower is pivotal, and intelligently following a leader can develop the capacity to become an effective leader. Successful leadership demands certain key traits in a leader: unwavering courage, self-control, a clear sense of justice, decision-making precision, accurate planning, going beyond one's duty, an amiable personality, empathy, understanding, attention to detail, readiness to shoulder complete responsibility, and cooperation. Leadership comes in two forms, through consent and sympathy of followers or through coercion, with the former being more enduring. Additionally, there are 10 primary causes of leadership failure, such as the inability to organize details, reluctance to render humble service, lack of imagination, selfishness, intemperance, disloyalty, excessive emphasis on authority, insistence on titles, among others. Studying these causes is imperative for those aspiring to lead. Napoleon highlighted various fields in need of new types of leaders in his time, presenting opportunities for those willing to lead in these domains. Politics requires new leaders capable of handling emerging crises, while banking is undergoing reforms, necessitating adaptable leaders. Industries also call for new leaders focusing on managing companies without imposing hardships on any individual or group. Future religious leaders should attend more to the temporal needs of their followers. Furthermore, professions like law, medicine, and education seek a new form of leadership and, to some extent, new leaders. Journalism similarly requires fresh leadership. Succeeding in marketing personal services necessitates careful planning and harmonious, pleasant conduct at work. It's crucial to clearly define desired work, understand potential employer policies, and present one's skills and talents effectively. The employer-employee relationship is evolving into a society comprising employer, employee, and the served public. The QQS formula, quality, quantity, and spirit of cooperation, is crucial in effectively marketing personal services. The quality and quantity of services rendered, along with harmonious conduct, significantly impact compensation and job longevity. The capital value of an efficient brain can be calculated by multiplying annual income by 16 2/3. Effectively marketing personal services is as pivotal as marketing goods and products. The greatest tragedy in life befalls those determined to fail. Napoleon's analysis of thousands of failures led to the identification of 31 fundamental reasons for failure and 13 important principles for amassing fortunes. These reasons encompass unfavorable hereditary backgrounds, lack of a defined life purpose, insufficient ambition, inadequate education, lack of self-discipline, poor health, adverse childhood environmental influences, habitual procrastination, lack of persistence, negative personality traits, lack of control over sexual impulses, desire for something for nothing, lack of well-defined decision-making power, fears, or erroneous partner selection in marriage, among others. Analyzing these causes can aid in avoiding failure and achieving success. Self-awareness is crucial for success in marketing goods and personal services. Recognizing weaknesses and strengths allows for improvement and market differentiation. An annual analysis to track progress and instigate improvements is essential, ensuring desires align with true value. Capitalism is indispensable in modern life, with capitalists building, organizing, and maintaining the necessary means of transport and production for civilization. The United States is a capitalist nation, offering everyone the opportunity to accumulate wealth through providing useful services and creating artificial needs. To do so, adapting to the capitalist economic system and delivering value-added services are essential. Freedom and opportunities abound in the United States, enabling anyone to accumulate wealth in proportion to the value of their services. Success hinges on effort and perseverance, with no excuse for failure. Chapter 8. Decision. Decision-making stands as a vital skill for success in any life arena. Yet, many struggle with making swift and decisive choices. A study involving over 25,000 individuals who experienced failure revealed that lack of decisiveness was the primary cause. Conversely, those who amass fortunes tend to habitually make rapid decisions and alter them slowly. Henry Ford serves as an example of someone who made swift and definitive decisions, often appearing obstinate. It's crucial to remember that others' opinions can influence our decision-making, necessitating caution in whom we confide. Moreover, significant decisions demand courage and bravery for execution. Lincoln's decision to enact the Emancipation Proclamation, or the resolve of the 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, are instances of courageous decisions that altered the course of history. For making significant decisions, a well-organized and coordinated team is essential, as seen in the organization of the Correspondence Committee by Adams, Lee, and Hancock. Samuel Adams's decision to persist in opposing the British government, despite the risk of hanging, led to the convening of the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia in 1774. Without this decision, the signing of the Declaration of Independence might never have occurred. The Congress was driven by leaders like Adams, John Hancock, and Thomas Jefferson, willing to challenge the British Crown and fight for the colony's freedom. Richard Henry Lee's motion in 1776 led to the independence of the United States. Richard Henry Lee's motion for declaring independence was debated for days in the Continental Congress. Thomas Jefferson led the committee that drafted the Declaration of Independence, which was voted upon and approved on July 4, 1776. The 56 men who signed it risked their lives but secured the success of Washington's armies and birthed a nation that became an exemplar of self-determination and liberty. Thoughts supported by a strong desire translate into their physical equivalent. Leaders across all walks of life are individuals who decide swiftly and firmly, knowing what they want and generally achieving it. Indecision becomes a habit acquired in youth and lingers unless one defines their purpose. The resolve in decision-making demands courage and can lead to financial success. Chapter 9. Persistence. Perseverance is key to turning desire into wealth. When willpower and desire are properly combined, they create an irresistible partnership. Individuals who amass great fortunes are often misunderstood, yet what they possess is willpower, which they combine with perseverance to bolster their desires and ensure the achievement of their goals. While most people give up at the first sign of opposition, the few who persist despite adversity are ultimately the ones who succeed. Lack of perseverance is a common weakness, but it can be overcome with effort. The starting point of all achievement is desire, and weak desires lead to weak outcomes. Fortunes gravitate toward minds prepared to attract them. If perseverance is lacking, it can be developed through practice and surrounding oneself with a supportive team. Those who cultivate the habit of perseverance enjoy insurance against failure. Perseverance can be cultivated as it is a state of mind. To develop it, one needs a definite purpose, intense desire, self-confidence, organized plans, precise knowledge, cooperation, willpower, and habit. Taking stock of perseverance is important to identify personal weaknesses hindering goal attainment. Among these weaknesses are lack of interest in acquiring knowledge, indecision, the habit of making excuses, and lack of organized plans. Moreover, fear of criticism can be a potent enemy. People fear criticism, which hampers them from living their lives and pursuing their goals. Fear of criticism is the strongest foe of ideas and can kill ambition before it can materialize. Material success isn't merely chance, it requires knowledge and perseverance. Perseverance is crucial to achieving success and can be cultivated by defining a purpose and crafting specific plans. Most individuals fail to define their desires and lack a plan to achieve them, making perseverance key to attaining wealth. There are therefore 4 essential steps to cultivating perseverance: having a definite purpose backed by a burning desire to achieve it, a defined plan expressed through continuous action, a mind closed to negativity, and an alliance with someone capable of providing encouragement. Perseverance is the common quality among successful individuals like Henry Ford and Thomas Edison, as demonstrated throughout history, including in the life of Mahatma Gandhi. The power of perseverance remains a mystery, but its importance in achieving success in any aspect of life is undeniable. Chapter 10. Power of the Mastermind. Power is essential for the accumulation and preservation of wealth. Power can be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge that enables the transformation of desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort occurs through the coordination of 2 or more individuals working toward a specific end in a spirit of harmony. To acquire power, knowledge must be obtained from 3 sources: infinite intelligence, accumulated experience, and experimentation and research. Coordinating knowledge and effort within a properly selected team provides economic and psychological advantages. Coordinated minds in harmony generate more thought energy than a single mind. The coordination of individual brains in harmony yields more thought energy than a single brain. The increased energy generated by this alliance becomes available to each of the individual brains within the group. Infinite intelligence is the greatest source of power and is what genius and all great leaders turn toward. There is an invisible stream of power leading to wealth and another leading to poverty, and the positive emotions of thought form the side of the stream that leads to fortune. Chapter 11. The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. Transmutation is the conversion of one element or form of energy into another. The emotion of sex holds 3 constructive potentials: the perpetuation of humanity, the maintenance of health, and the transformation of mediocrity into genius. Transmutation of sex means shifting from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of another nature. The transmutation of sexual energy demands the exercise of willpower, and those who have mastered the art of sexual transmutation have achieved greater accomplishments in life. The human mind can be stimulated by various triggers, leading to heightened levels of vibration such as enthusiasm and creative imagination. Among the stimuli to which the mind responds most freely are sexual desire, love, the pursuit of power and money, music, friendship, teamwork, mutual suffering, self-suggestion, fear, narcotics, and alcohol. The emotion of sex is the most intense and powerful mental stimulus of all. Genius is an individual who has discovered how to increase thought intensity to the point of freely communicating with sources of knowledge not accessible through ordinary thought. The faculty of creative imagination is the direct link between man's finite mind and infinite intelligence, and it is the key to achieving the status of genius. The creative faculty can be cultivated and developed only through use and becomes more alert and receptive with increased use. The best ideas come from hunches, which may arise from infinite intelligence, one's own subconscious, another person's mind, or another person's subconscious. Sexual energy is the most potent creative source of the human mind, and geniuses and successful leaders throughout history have utilized this energy to reach their goals. The primary difference between a genius and an ordinary inventor is that the genius works through their creative imagination, while the inventor primarily employs the synthetic faculty of their mind. When an inventor finds themselves in a situation where their accumulated knowledge is insufficient to create what they desire, it is then that they turn to their creative imagination. Men rarely achieve success before 40 years of age due to their tendency to dissipate their energies in physical expression of sex. Sexual energy can be transmuted into a powerful force that can elevate individuals to higher levels of thought and aid them in achieving success. Personal magnetism, an essential quality in efficient salespeople, also relates to sexual energy. Individuals with a high sexual nature possess a reservoir of magnetism, which can be used to influence others through hand contact, tone of voice, body posture, and thought vibration. Some geniuses have used artificial mental stimulants, like alcohol or narcotics, to attain success, though it is cautioned that many of them have also destroyed themselves in the process. Society holds misconceptions about sex, and a high sexual nature is not a curse, but a blessing. However, the emotion of sex must be used with intelligence and discrimination, as it can be misused and impoverish both the body and mind. The most fruitful age to achieve success in life is between 40 and 60 years old, and love, romance, and sex are emotions capable of propelling men to heights of superachievement. Nevertheless, the emotion of sex alone is a powerful yet uncontrollable stimulus and can be destructive. When the emotion of love is blended with that of sex, the result is calm purpose, poised attitude, sound judgment, and balance. Love is spiritual, while sex is biological, and the blend of these emotions can lead to creative effort. Marriage can produce a state of mind close to the spiritual when these two emotions are mixed. Love endures because it is spiritual and leaves lasting imprints on the human heart. Understanding the relationship between love, sex, and romance is key to maintaining harmony in a marriage. The wife can uplift or undermine the man based on her understanding of these emotions and her ability to cater to the man's desire to please the woman. Men who attain great heights of power and wealth do so to please women. A woman who comprehends masculine nature and attends to it tactfully can easily handle her man. Men can be influenced by women, but many won't admit it due to their desire to be recognized as the stronger sex. Chapter 12. The subconscious mind. The subconscious is the field of consciousness where all thoughts that reach the conscious mind through the senses are recorded and propelled. It can receive and categorize any desired thought or purpose and first operates on dominant desires mixed with emotional sensations, such as faith. The subconscious functions both day and night, utilizing the forces of infinite intelligence to transmute an individual's desires into their monetary equivalent. To influence the subconscious, one must follow detailed instructions outlined in the chapters on desire and autosuggestion and apply the 13 principles. Additionally, positive emotions like desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope are essential in influencing the subconscious, while negative emotions such as fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger should be avoided. The subconscious mind serves as the intermediary between a person's mind and infinite intelligence, communicating through emotions mixed with faith. Effective prayer should be conducted with a mind filled with faith and devoid of fear or doubt. The subconscious mind remains active and feeds on thoughts, hence it's crucial to control negative thoughts and nourish it with positive emotions. By following these instructions, one can gain control over the subconscious and utilize it to transmute desires into their monetary equivalent. Chapter 13. The Brain. The human brain can serve both as a receiving and transmitting station for thought vibrations, capable of picking up thought vibrations emitted by other brains, akin to the principle of broadcasting. Creative imagination acts as the brain's receiving apparatus, capturing thoughts emitted by other brains, and functions as the communication agency between the conscious mind and the four sources of thought stimuli. The process of uplifting the mind occurs through positive or negative emotions, with the emotion of sex leading as the most intense and driving force among human emotions. The subconscious serves as the brain's transmitting station, emitting thought vibrations, while creative imagination acts as the receiving apparatus, capturing thought energies. The three principles to consider in managing the mental broadcasting station are the subconscious, creative imagination, and autosuggestion. Human reliance on physical senses has been excessive, limiting knowledge to physical things that could be seen, touched, weighed, and measured. But we are now entering an era where we will be taught about the intangible forces of the surrounding world. Telepathy and clairvoyance might be real gifts, and scientists have begun studying the human brain to better understand its vast network of intricate machinery through which the power of thought translates into its material equivalent. Teamwork can also be mentally stimulated to find solutions to personal problems. The approach involves a close working alliance between two members of a group and the leader, with each contributing ideas to find the solution. This method illustrates the simplest and most practical use of teamwork. Thus, the human brain is capable of picking up thought vibrations emitted by other brains, and managing the mental broadcasting station involves the subconscious, creative imagination, and autosuggestion. We are entering an era where we will be taught about the intangible forces of the world, including telepathy and clairvoyance. Teamwork can also be mentally stimulated to find solutions to personal problems. Chapter 14. The Sixth Sense. The philosophy presented in Napoleon Hill's book culminates with the 13th principle, known as the Sixth Sense. Through it, infinite intelligence can communicate with the individual effortlessly and without any demand on their part. This principle stands as the pinnacle of the philosophy and can only be assimilated, understood, and applied once the other 12 principles have been mastered. The sixth sense is that portion of the subconscious mind referred to as creative imagination. It is also termed as the receiving apparatus, through which ideas, plans, and thoughts arise in the mind. At times, these flashes are referred to as premonitions, intuition, or inspiration. Understanding what the sixth sense truly is can only be achieved through meditation and internal mental development. After mastering the principles outlined in this book, one will be prepared to accept as truth an assertion that would otherwise seem unbelievable. With the help of the sixth sense, one will be forewarned of impending danger with enough time to avoid it, and opportunities will be signaled in advance enough to seize them. The sixth sense is the source of inspiration and creativity. Napoleon suggests that to develop the sixth sense, one should emulate the characteristics of admirable individuals. He personally emulated 9 men whose lives and works seemed most impressive to him: Emerson, Paine, Edison, Darwin, Lincoln, Burbank, Napoleon, Ford, and Carnegie. Each night, he held an imaginary conference with this group, whom he referred to as his invisible counselors. The sixth sense isn't something that can be turned on and off at will. Instead, the ability to use this great power grows slowly through the application of the other principles outlined in the book. This principle is the branch of knowledge that leads us to self-understanding, understanding others, the laws of nature, and ultimately, the recognition and understanding of happiness. Chapter 15. How to Outwit the 6 Ghosts of Fear. To apply this success philosophy, the mind must be prepared by eliminating indecision, doubt, and fear. The 6 basic fears are poverty, criticism, illness, loss of love, old age, and death. All other fears are minor and can be grouped under these 6. Fears are states of the mind that can be controlled and directed. Every human has the ability to control their mind and open or close themselves to thought impulses emitted by other brains. Every thought has a tendency to transform into its physical equivalent. Fear of poverty is the most destructive of the 6 basic fears and can annihilate reasoning ability, imagination, self-confidence, initiative, and willpower. It stems from humanity's inherited tendency to compete economically by devouring one another. Self-analysis is necessary to identify any weakness related to the fear of poverty. Fear of poverty manifests through various symptoms like indifference, indecision, doubt, worry, excessive caution, and procrastination. These symptoms can lead to lack of initiative, self-control, and self-confidence. Money becomes a measure of wealth and power for many who fear falling into poverty, often experiencing feelings of inferiority compared to those with secure jobs and enough money. Lack of money can also lead to depression, desperation, and suicidal thoughts. Money is seen as a means to make a difference and regain control of one's life. Fear of criticism is keenly felt by individuals and negatively affects their initiative, imagination, individuality, and self-confidence. It's attributed to humanity's inherited nature, prompting individuals to justify their actions through the criticism of others. Clothing and automobile manufacturers capitalize on this fear by constantly changing styles and models to sell more. Main symptoms of fear of criticism include shyness, lack of calmness, poor decision-making, inferiority complexes, and lack of initiative and ambition. Fear of illness is both a physical and social inheritance that takes individuals to terrible worlds with unsettling stories. Pharmaceutical companies have capitalized on this human weakness, amassing huge fortunes by playing on the fear of illness. Symptoms include self-suggestion, hypochondria, lack of moderation, and lack of exercise, among others. Fear of illness is often linked to fear of poverty, especially in the case of hypochondriacs worrying about potential medical bills. Fear of losing love originates from humanity's polygamous past and manifests in jealousy and neurosis. Women tend to be more susceptible to this fear. Symptoms include unfounded jealousy, suspicions, seeking imperfections, gambling, and extravagance. Fear of old age arises from the possibility of poverty, dreadful images of what lies beyond, and the potential for poor health and loss of sexual attractiveness. Symptoms include reduced activity, inferiority complexes, speaking apologetically about oneself, stifling initiative, and the habit of dressing to appear younger. Fear of death arises from religious fanaticism, uncertainty about the afterlife, and the belief that death might bring eternal punishment. However, science is helping dispel these fears. Symptoms include thinking about death instead of enjoying life and fear of poverty or illness. Staying busy and focused on goals can help overcome this fear. Worry is a fear-based mental state that can paralyze reasoning, destroy self-confidence, and initiative. However, it's possible to control this mental state by making firm decisions and eliminating the 6 basic fears: death, poverty, criticism, old age, illness, and loss of love. Additionally, there's another more subtle and dangerous ailment: susceptibility to negative influences. To protect against these influences, it's important to recognize one's own laziness, indifference, and susceptibility to basic fears. It's also necessary to close the mind against those who depress or discourage in any way and seek the company of people who influence independent thinking and action. To aid this process, a list of questions for self-analysis is provided, urging honesty with oneself. Overall, controlling thoughts and emotions is vital to achieve peace of mind, acquire essentials for life, and attain happiness and success. The only absolute control a person has is over their thoughts. This control reflects the divine nature of humanity and is essential to control one's destiny. Safeguarding and utilizing the mind carefully is crucial, because if the mind is not controlled, nothing else will be. Self-discipline and habit are key to controlling the mind and achieving defined goals. Studying successful people shows that they have control over their minds and direct them towards success.